Hey, welcome back to RiverTalk 2.0, the most exciting part of the show for some, not me, obviously.
That's not nice.
Well, it's not the most exciting thing for me.
It's the most entertaining portion of the program, I would believe, since I got to do it.
All right, put on your hat.
Thank you, buddy.
Put on your hat.
All right.
There it is.
How to speak Southern.
It is time, ladies and gentlemen, to learn how to speak Southern. Now, this is your first word for this week, and it is alder.
What?
Alder. A-W-D-U-H. Alder.
Oh, okay.
Now, a state of affairs that depends on obedience to law. The marshal brought law and order to this town. That's it. That's.
Okay.
I want to hurry and get to our guest because he's my friend.
Yeah, we oughta just move right on over and say hello to Bo
Right
Bryan.
on.
Speak Southern. You can see why.
It's a difficult job.
It's tough
I'm
for
glad
me,
it's
man.
yours and not mine.
Hey, Bo Bryan.
Hello.
Good to
That's
see
my
you.
man right there, buddy. Old Bo, man. I swear to God, this guy is, I've known him since, what, 69? Something. I got
Something
here in
like that.
68,
Wow.
something like that, back when we were running the streets.
Wow.
But we won't talk about that.
Before man landed on the moon.
Exactly.
It
Now,
was before man landed on the moon.
before we had any streets, we had Ocean Boulevard, and that was it.
That was about
501 to get here, and Ocean Boulevard to hang out on.
It was 2 lanes.
And
too.
it was 2 lanes. That was it, man. But that was a primo time in Myrtle Beach, I'm telling you what. And all I ever heard was about old Bo Bryan. All the girls, he is so handsome, that old Bo Bryan. I could, who's this Bo Bryan guy? I got to find
I'm
this.
glad
dude.
you weren't handling the list.
But I knew your daddy Buster. I met him just before he passed away.
Is that right?
Oh yeah, buddy. And
Well, I imagine he was entertained by you.
no, I think he was kind of like, who is this guy? Now Buster, you might want to talk a little bit about your daddy real quick about, but you know, now he was one of the most prominent businessmen in this town. Matter of fact, he's the one. It wasn't it your mama or he that named Surfside Beach where I live, gave him the name, right?
He took my mama on a vacation to Florida. And it was a rare thing for my father to take a vacation, but we all went down there, and I don't remember much about it, but part of what happened was that my mother saw a town named Surfside. And when it came time to name this new housing development my father had devised, Mama said, let's name it Surfside, and Daddy did. So it sort of came about the same way the golf business, the commercial golf business did in Myrtle Beach. My mother saw something in Florida and brought it back. My father had seen something in Pinehurst, the golf package plan, which had been in Pinehurst for, Lord, since before the Depression.
Right.
And saw it, didn't think really relate it to Myrtle Beach until there was a snowstorm here in, it's like 1964, 65, 64, I
Don't
think.
look at me. I was 1 year old.
Well, you don't look at Jack. Anyway, Dad remembered Pinehurst when the snowstorm struck Pinehurst, and 2 busloads of golfers showed up at his hotel, the Caravel, wanting to play golf somewhere, and he said, come on in. One of the few places that was open 12 months a year, and was a member of the Dunes Club.
Right.
And so all these fellows from Pinehurst stayed overnight during January and played golf a couple of times at the Dunes Club. And as soon as that was over, Daddy went back to Pinehurst and took every brochure he could find and brought it back and devised his own package plan. And that's how the commercial golf business started in
Man,
Myrtle
that's a
Beach.
great story. I'd never heard that.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Oh,
incredible.
yeah. Well, my father and his brother, and mainly the Burroughs and Collins Company, founded the Dunes Club. Burroughs and Collins,
Oh,
the
yeah.
Burroughs family, put up the land. My uncle James was the president of Myrtle Beach, or president of Chapin Company at the time, but he's the one who promoted the thing. And then my father hired Robert Trent Jones and brought him to Myrtle Beach, and Trent Jones took the job because the land was gorgeous.
Right, sure.
Oh man, it was 90-foot sand dunes and tidal lakes, and it was an extraordinary piece of property. And so the preeminent golf architect in the world at the time took
Sure.
the job to design the Dunes Club, and my father oversaw construction.
Oh, he was instrumental in a lot of stuff down here. He's
Yeah,
got a
he
resume
did.
you wouldn't believe. Anything, Pine Lakes, he's done
No,
it all.
no, Dad had. I mean, Pine Lakes was built by the Woodside brothers.
Right, but didn't he at one time have a little investment in that or something?
He played a lot of golf.
Yeah,
over
well,
there.
that's an
I don't
investment.
know that he
That's
ever
a lot
put
of
a dime
investment.
in it, but
Yeah.
but yeah, it was where he learned to play golf.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
Fell in love with the game.
Well, now his son has done real good too. You haven't done bad for yourself, buddy. You're carrying
I've
on
done
the
all I
tradition,
could, didn't
carrying
you?
on the tradition of the Bryan clan.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, before we get going, we're going to talk about that shag book, right? That you put out.
Okay.
Now it's been a few
All right.
years.
Yeah, it has
Yeah.
nothing to do with the movie, but everyone's talking about it. It's like the 30th anniversary of that Shag movie.
Now, a good buddy of mine, I called him my brother, Wendy Gill. He came up with a pretty good little idea, too, about putting together this shag book. So I'm going to give him credit, the late Wendy Gill.
Wow, looks like you've been riding around
Well,
with that one in the
That
trunk.
cover is
This is
shameful, Deacon. I got to get you a
Well,
new
I
cover.
need
Wow.
a new cover there.
That's a
but
shaggy shag cover
well,
there.
I wear jeans that look like that, so it don't matter. But anyway, Wendy signed it for me before he passed several years ago, and you didn't sign it yet. So I want to get you to sign this thing,
Well,
buddy.
how about
I'm
that?
going to sign it now.
Yeah,
Okay.
you gotta
do I
sign
have
it
to
right now
read it
live.
Once I sign it.
I'm gonna have this documented here
Wow.
on television, man.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, let me.
Now, he's got to think what he's gonna write.
He's setting
Yeah.
a precedent here. Because if you'll sign that without looking at it, I got some papers I'll hand to you in
Well, there
just
you
a few
go.
minutes as well.
Yeah, no
Deacon.
kidding.
Of what church?
That's good enough. Yeah, that'll be all right.
Oh, this
I
is
like
do
great
not
TV
know.
right here. Isn't it? Let's just wait till they finish this.
that. Yeah, I tell you. Well, you know, there have been a lot of locals, not a lot, but a handful of locals that have documented, you know, their life on the
Sure,
Grand
sure.
Strand, and you know, this is one of the first books to come out as far as someone who was raised here, and that's why I want to get this signed by my buddy.
Man, if it took you as long to write a book as it does just to sign something, man.
Jack,
Well,
that's
just
not
take it
mine.
easy. It's going to be good when I.
How long did it take you to write this? 10
It
years?
took 16 months.
I can believe it. Wow.
Okay, here's the deal.
Wonder how many times the tide came and went in those 16
4
months.
times a day.
Okay.
All right. For Deacon, of what church I do not know, but pass the collection plate and I'll share with you 50-50. Love, Bo.
Oh, that's
Love
great.
it, brother. That's it, man. You the man, brother.
That's
You
awesome.
the man. That's what I'm
That's
talking
neat.
about.
I
Yes,
should have
sir.
brought mine in.
Yes, hey, and you know he's cool. He's wearing his sunglasses. So look here, during this interview, I got to wear mine.
Oh, okay.
That's what we're
I
friends are
burned
for.
my eyes as a child.
You
That's
did what?
actually not the reason I've got them on today, but I refused to wear sunglasses when we were kids.
Oh, really?
And the glare burned my eyes so that now if I have, I mean, these lights are, you know, pretty
Ball in
bright.
your eyes.
And if I don't wear something over my eyes, it hurts. So, you know, I get to wear these things and have a justification for
But
it.
it looks cool. And the reason I wear sunglasses is so I can look
You
around.
look- you
Nobody
look- yeah,
knows.
well-
Nobody knows what I'm looking at,
Yeah.
especially girls.
You look more like a star that way,
Yeah,
too.
that's right.
Well, for someone just tuning in, this is author Bo Bryan. I've known you for a long, long time through our mutual friend Robert Shelley. But the inspiration for the Shag book, how did that really get started? I mean, it's our dance. It's what we're known for.
I was living in New York City, having left Myrtle Beach thinking I'd be famous in 6 months. And Wendy Gill, the fellow that Deacon mentioned, who gave him that book, called me and said, come back to Myrtle Beach, there's a book you need to write here. And I, you know, at the time I had my nose all in the air. I was going to be a famous writer in New York City, and I was trying to find anything to write about except what I knew best, Myrtle Beach and where I grew up. And Wendy said, no, this is something special now. So he got me back here and took me to an SOS gathering where they have, you know, 25 or 30,000 people. And at the time, I mean, I was 40 years old at the time. So the crowd was about the same age. And it was fascinating. I mean, people gathered to party for 2 weeks straight and drink as much beer and liquor as they could and just keep dancing all night. And they were doing a dance that we'd grown up with. Well, when we were growing up, Deke, I know you remember this, in those beer joints we used to go to on a real hot Saturday night, there might have been 10 or 15 people in the crowd who could shag dance at all.
Right, exactly.
And then this SOS thing happened, and I'm there, and there are thousands of people who do this dance, and not only that, they've got this whole hierarchy of championships and
Sure.
halls of fame and so forth, and young kids who could outdance anybody that I ever saw when we were growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought, you know, I don't even know where this thing comes from. And so I said, Wendy, let's do it. And so he had an idea that was a lot different than what we turned out to produce. He was going to do schedules and things. And Wendy had this very regimented sort of, he was a military guy, you know, he'd been a captain in the Army.
Well, and plus he had a real estate guide. He had different
real
books he was
estate
putting
guy.
out. Yeah.
Price and, you know, location, 3 bedrooms,
That's
2
it.
baths.
Yeah.
So what I did was go in, I researched the shag dance and uncovered a fascinating story, not because I wrote it, but I mean, the shag dance was the first social dance of the rock and roll revolution.
Okay.
And that's a fact. I
Right.
mean, the first fun dance that anybody did to what became known as rock and roll music, white kids, was the shag dance.
Where you actually touched somebody else, too.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
that
used to
wasn't
dance.
allowed where I grew up.
You know how people
touching,
would dance.
dancing.
You know, so you got to touch.
Well, in 1943, music at the time was called race music in Billboard magazine, but it was rhythm and blues, and most of it was produced in church basements in Harlem and Chicago and the ghettos there and L.A. That music was not heard anywhere but in the ghetto.
Sure.
The black radio stations didn't exist, and white kids had never heard that music en masse until a couple of jukebox operators in Myrtle Beach, of all places, and Carolina Beach came across a guy named Chicken Hicks. Now, I know you know the name, and he's all over that book, but this was a young kid.
We're going to have to hold it right there. I'm going to put a hold on this and have you come back tomorrow.
Okay. All right.
Is that cool with you?
That's fine with me, man.
Bring something
We're
else to get signed
we're-
tomorrow.
Remember,
Okay.
we're stopping at the chicken.
Chicken Hicks.
Chicken Hicks.
We'd have gotten Chicken
This
Hicks
is not a
story,
fast
but
food thing
you
now.
guys
This is
had to,
Chicken
like,
Hicks.
do a little pen pal letter there.
Right, and
Bo,
we've got-
thanks for hanging out with us today. Good stuff. Chicken Hicks. I'm going to think about that all day today. Right now, though, let's check out this great video. We'll be right back.
That's what this means.